Hey everybody, this is American Idol Unaired. I am your host, Bennett Shear, and today's singer that you didn't see is Zia Blue. Zia, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks.
I'm so excited to talk to you. I'm sad that we didn't get to see you on American Idol, but I'm happy because we get to know you and you get to introduce yourself and give us the introduction that we never got on American Idol. So, without further ado, take it away. I want to hear all about you.
Yeah, absolutely. So my stage name is Zia Blue. I'm from rural Montana. Um, let's see. I've been playing music for as long as I can remember. I remember my mom told me when I was like um she told me a story about when she was singing to me, like singing goodnight to me. And I was like two or something, and I told her, Mom, you can't sing. I was like, Mama, you can't sing. And I've just always been singing. And it's always been a part of my life. I grew up listening to bluegrass. My brother is a phenomenal pianist and mandolin player. He's in a couple of local bands in Montana. And I went to a lot of folk festivals. And I think it was around my high school years that I kind of got more into R&B and soul, and something was just like tugging my heartstrings in that direction. And so I just, uploaded things on my Instagram from time to time. And then after I graduated high school, during my gap year, I graduated in the year of COVID. So I took a gap year. And that was when Nancy Yearing, a senior producer with American Idol, found me and asked me if I wanted to audition. And at first I thought she was fake. I thought she was like some, I don't know. I remember my exact like reply was, "Are you fake?" And she was like, "No, I'm actually not. Here's my email. Let's get down to business." So that's kind of how my American Idol story began.
Wow. I always wonder what it's like for contestants who are scouted because obviously, you could have tried out yourself, but to have somebody say like, "Wow, you're really good. You should be on the show." At first, again, you're probably thinking, "Is this real?" But then it also probably feels amazing to know that, somebody found you and said, "Wow, this is really cool what she's doing."
Yeah, no, it was really crazy. I was going through a kind of crazy time in my life when that happened. I mean, COVID was crazy for everyone, but thankfully I had a stable job and I was working around, but the job that I got into was a little bit more turbulent than I
Hmm.
expected. And so I decided to quit that job, and I think the 2 days before I ended up leaving in Nevada because I moved out of my home. And before I left that job was when I got the DM and I freaked out, and it was crazy. And I was like, wow, like the universe is sending me good
Yes.
vibes. Like the universe has it all there for me. Um, but yeah, I don't think it really dawned on me until I was actually, honestly, until after the whole American Idol experience that I finally was like, oh yeah, like I belonged there.
Yeah, you did. I mean, there's so many people, whether it is the people that tried out themselves or the people that were scouted, whatever it is. I mean, it's such a long process to find contestants, and the fact that you got down to, the couple of hundred that go to the judges and then to make it to Hollywood Week. I mean, getting that far is incredible, and I think people may not always realize when they watch the show just how big of an accomplishment it actually is, because you have to get through
Yeah.
so much to get there.
Yeah, it's definitely, there were a lot of emotions that came after, I knew that I wasn't going to be aired. I mean, it was just like waiting and
Yeah.
waiting to hear whether or not you were put on. So like after some of like the initial, like the city auditions were aired, I was like, okay, like less chance of me being on there because there's only a couple more episodes that I would have actual footage because I didn't get to top 24. Um, but yeah, it was a long process. I didn't realize it, but like when it all when it all ended, it had been about like a year, almost a year, like a couple months shy of a year from when Nancy reached out to me, which was so crazy.
Yeah. No, I mean, you guys put so much time and effort into this show, and to put it bluntly, I remember one of my guests just saying like, I'll be honest with you, man, it really sucked. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I don't know any other way to kind of, there's no beating around the bush. It's like, it does
Right.
suck. But I think that there's still things that you take away from it and things that you look back and say, wow, like, look what I did get from this and the people you met. I'm sure those are the positives.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that probably most of the unaired contestants and aired contestants would agree with me when I say that, like, just meeting the people that you did and getting those connections. Like, I made friends with the PAs. Like, I have their Instagrams and, of course, a lot of contestants. And yeah, it was just like the camaraderie. I was expecting, I mean, I had no idea what to expect coming from Montana. I was just like, I was definitely not cut out for the LA scene. I had never been like an inch, like as close to it as I was during American Idol. Um, but yeah, just like, I don't know, having all of those people there with me. At first I thought I was going to be like so overwhelmed and everyone was going to hate me and like everyone was going to be so mean and we were all just going to like butt heads
Mm.
because we were trying to be like the next American Idol, but everybody was just like was like, "Oh my God, you did so good. I love your low notes." And yeah, it was just a really beautiful community even though we were like pummeled with everything. Yeah, it was really fantastic.
Wow. Well, I do want to go back to the beginning because I mean, gosh, that must have been quite a year, and it is crazy that it's so much longer than what viewers probably would expect. Now, from when Nancy reached out, what was the next step? I mean, I'm guessing that she got you in touch with some other producers, and there was an initial audition via Zoom, probably.
Yeah, so our first little Zoom was just me and her, and I was like, "Oh shit, like this is it." But little did I know that I was gonna go through like two more like real interviews and performances after that, auditions in front of Megan, and then I auditioned in front of like one other producer before then, and yeah, that was all during the summer um, after like the March that Nancy had. It was like, yeah, March, I think, that she reached out to me. So I had those Zoom auditions, of course, and then they had me send over like a bunch of paperwork, just like kind of, I don't know, outlining like my life and like were there any like challenging things in my life, kind of trying to have that conversation and maybe make me one of those contestants that was
Yeah.
like, yeah, this person was homeless. And like obviously like that's such a valid thing to like showcase and like it was so wonderful to see those people that had struggled with so much in their life like I hadn't really. But I know that like the one thing that I did have that was troublesome that I put on there, I like put in subtext. I was like, I'm not comfortable with this being out there. So yeah, it's definitely interesting, like kind of seeing the cards, like the cards that you have to play,
Hmm.
in order to be an American Idol like contestant, I guess, or
Yeah.
just somebody that they want to air. I mean, of course, there's some people that they're just like, oh, they're really good, like let's put them on. But I think that what's gonna get you through American Idol is like obviously like a great TV personality. Like Leah Marlene, she was so comfortable. I like it all. Like I don't know what was going on in her mind. She's the best. But just being in Hollywood for me, I was like that was like one of the toughest times mentally that I had ever gone through. And she was just like a little firecracker throughout it all. And it was so refreshing to see that because I was like, oh God. And then I would look at Leah and she's like, it was, yeah, really nice to have that kind of personality around me. But she definitely has like that personality that they are going to showcase because she's just so bubbly and so, I don't know, she doesn't hold back with
Hmm.
her. She just like shows herself as it is always. Um, uh, what else was I gonna say? Oh, and I think that like Definitely powerhouse vocals is another one of those like like wow factors that they
Yeah.
try and get in there.
So I'm definitely curious about song choices as far as where you started out. I mean, I know that there's several rounds we have to get through, but for those initial meetings with Nancy and then those producer calls, what were you singing?
Oh my gosh, I sing so many songs. I sang Carried Away by her. I sang an original. I sang an original for the producers. What was that original? I sang Release. Um, what else did I sing? I sang Release, and I think that Nancy kind of shied me away from singing an original song for the very first audition. And so I was kind of stuck in between like an original versus cover. And I went with a cover, but it was like not well known. Well, they didn't know. Like Luke and Katie and Lionel didn't know the artist of my cover song. So I might as well just have sang my original tune. But yeah, in the initial Zooms, what else did I sing? Oh, I sang one by Sophia James, who was
Hmm.
a past, I think she made
Yeah.
top 10 in 2020 season. Um but yeah, honestly I can't remember a lot. I sang for my in-person audition. I sang Man Like You and they were like, "We don't know this song. Can you sing something else?" And obviously I was very flustered. So I went with just an a cappella version of Make It Rain, like the Ed Sheeran cover.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So let's think. So and I'm trying to figure out the timeline. So obviously March 2021, which I imagine might seem a little bit like a blur because gosh, we're talking like a year, it's probably like almost a year and a half ago now
Yeah, you
that that
know.
all started.
Right.
But fast forward to the in-person auditions. Which city did they send you to go in front of the judges?
Yeah, so you honestly got to choose. Like I got to choose. I don't know if like anybody, I'm pretty sure everybody got to choose. All the contestants got to choose.
Yeah.
And I was really interested. I'd been to LA like one time before and I just like walked the streets and it was so overwhelming. I was like, where am I? And so I was really interested in checking out Nashville. So I went
Oh.
down there, and some of my buddies followed me, which was really awesome. And they kind of were there behind the scene, not behind the scenes actually, but like behind the scenes of my life during that time.
Uh-huh.
Um, just kind of like they were just staying in the city and hanging out with me when I was done filming for the day.
Well, when you got there, I know a lot of contestants were there for days, and I guess it depends which day you auditioned. Were you there for several days, or were you one of the earlier contestants?
Um, I was there for a good chunk of time. I think I was there for like 5 days.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It flew right by though. It was so crazy.
of course. Yeah. What do you know? Remember which day you were out of the different days they filmed?
So they had day one and two, and that's when contestants came, stayed in the same hotel that we stayed in. I was day three and four. I think I auditioned day four.
Hmm.
And so they had day one and day two, and then they shipped them out.
Right, and then brought a
And
new group in.
right. And then they brought me in with all of my other fellow pals of day three and day four. Yeah.
I want to hear about the people that you met because this is always one of my favorite questions to ask. I know it must be a blast just getting to meet everybody when you get there.
Yes. Oh my God, it was so crazy. Oh my gosh, this was like one of the like craziest moments. I mean, there's so many crazy moments, but we were in like I got there pretty late and then we had to have like a meeting, like a Zoom meeting at like 9 p.m. on the first night that we got there. And it was just like, it's like so many human beings. And so I was just like clicking through the like Zoom boxes with all the people. And I spotted somebody from an a cappella group in Berkeley, in like the Berkeley School of Music a cappella groups. It's called Slap Pitched,
Hmm.
I think, or Pitch Slapped. Um, and it was just so fun to meet them, and I was like, "Hey, I'm actually one of your biggest fans. Like I listen to Pitch Slapped and I listen to it on repeat and I sing along and I do the little harmonies." And yeah, it was just so
Wow.
crazy. It was so fun.
Uh-huh. And that's like, so I think I've heard the term day zero many times now. Is that what it was like, right? Before they actually filmed the day three, and there's like
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
midpoint, I'm sure there's day one and day two, and then before the day three and day four, there's like the point where you guys have to come in and they give you all the sort of Zoom stuff and make sure you guys are all good to go.
Yeah, right, exactly. It was I never like fully got I was always like one step behind. I was like, all these numbers are confusing me. And Hollywood Week was even crazier.
So I guess if you're on day four, that means that you were waiting a whole day of like no singing in front of the judges, plus part of the next day you were waiting. So the day that you weren't filming at all in front of the judges, was that when you were doing interviews and B-roll, confessionals, that kind of thing?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's when I went and I did, some interviews, just like the basic interview where they talked about where they're from, what inspired them, blah blah blah. Um, and so day three I didn't did I do I'm not even sure. Like I remember just one day I'm pretty sure we just sat and maybe I did like one thing. But then I think my practice day, because they would like allot practice days and practice times for everyone, and then they were like bring them down and sling them through the rooms. And I remember my practice day was like the day before my actual audition. So I mean, like, because they said that we weren't supposed to practice in the hotels, which I'm sure that most people were just like singing whatever. It wasn't too loud. But yeah, so my practice time, which was like I think like 10, 15, 20 minutes of just being in a room alone, was the day before my audition. And then I auditioned the next day and I didn't practice at all.
Oh,
It was really crazy. And like being outside of the actual audition room with the celebrity judges. We we would, try and like do a couple warm ups, and everyone was like, shh, shh, they're recording. And we're,
yeah.
no one like try and go again. And they're like, shh. Um, and oh my gosh, yeah, being behind the scenes, like right before you're about to go on is like probably the most stressful. Um, like even more stressful than Hollywood Week. Uh, because there's like, oh my God, there's like 14 people like rushing to an elevator. There's like five people throwing on microphones for the people coming up next. They're like, oh gosh, we're going too fast. Like we're getting through it faster, guys. Go, go, go. And you're like, oh God, I'm just like trying to practice, like help. um, so yeah, that was just like a whirlwind of events, and then they'd like shove you out the door, and you're like, okay, here I go, and then you're in the room, and then you black out in my case and sing, and then leave.
Who, if you remember, were you with when they kind of, as you said, they don't just send each person one by one by one by one. They put you in the group with a few other contestants. Who do they send you with?
I was with Cole Hallman, and his sister and his mom. Um, and I think I went before him in the like stack up. And then Grace Perman. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if I'm saying her name right. Love you, Grace.
Pearman. I
Perman.
can't believe I'm the one correcting you and I wasn't even there. But doing this podcast puts me in an interesting position. But
No, no, no,
I was
it's
just
all good.
editing her interview 3 hours ago. So
Oh my gosh, perfect. Well,
yeah,
thank you.
of
Thank you.
course.
Sorry, Grace. Sorry. So yeah, Grace was down there, and she was just a very calming person to be around. She was like, "Hey Zia, like I have this little meditation I do. Do you want to do this with me?" And I was like, "Yes." So we just kind of like sat and like just like tried to like block it all out. Um, and yeah, yeah, it was really special to share that moment with her because we were all just like, Cole was so chill. Oh my God. He was like, I don't even know what was going through his mind. He was just like sitting there and like just like tapping his feet. And he was like, "Oh, nice guitar." I was like, "Oh, thanks." Like, I'm going crazy. How
Oh
about
my
you?
God.
But yeah, I need to stop like downplaying my like how comfortable I am in front of a camera. Like, I think part of it is definitely just kind of a lack of confidence
Hmm.
overall. And of course, I don't know, like I would warn people that haven't had a lot of experience performing like I had that it's nothing like a performance that you would just like do for your own benefit, like away from American Idol, because there are cameras like pushed in your face up until the point like 15 minutes up until the point that you are out on that stage. So you don't really have time to like collect your thoughts or like hype yourself up. I remember my showstopper, I was so brutally sick. I hadn't been able to sleep or nap like the past 2 days because I was just so anxious. I had like like a camera person with their big camera on me, just and they're like, yeah, okay, do whatever, like, yeah, just like look nervous, like you're ready to perform or whatever you do. And so I was just trying to hype myself up, and so I was like getting down to whatever was like, I don't know, the person was playing a cool song and I was like, yeah, okay, let's go. Hey, and I was just dancing backstage. And they're like, oh, okay, like enough of that. Enough of that. And I was like, what? Like what am I supposed to do? Like just I don't know. It was just so crazy. And sometimes they would just like make you they'd be like, "Oh, can you look really nervous right now?" And then you would like pretend to act, and then that would kind of just slip into the subconscious that you were just like scared shitless a little bit. And so it definitely messes with your emotions and messes with the way that you want to perform. And I think that I've come a long way since American Idol, and I think that a lot of it showed me really good habits. But you're living out of a hotel room. You don't have a lot of familiar people there to like guide you. And I definitely had an anxiety attack before my duet round, which was very scary because I wasn't like really taking care of myself. And so the contestants were the ones that actually helped me. Yoli Mayor and Jade Flores helped me out of that situation. And Jade was like, hey, just sit up here. Like, I'm going to go get you water. I'm going to go get you something to eat. Have you eaten? Um, and she was like, yeah, just like don't go down there. Like, don't show your face. This is what they want to see. And I was like, wow, yeah, that's true. Like, yes. So yeah, it's definitely not for the faint of heart, and I know that people have been through it before and like know the ropes. But being a person that literally knew nothing, I had never watched American Idol before this season, the duet round. I had this one lyric that I couldn't get down, and I was just like wrapped in my head, just like trying to trying to not forget it and just like trying way too hard that I just forgot it like basically every time, and I ended up singing it wrong in my actual performance. Yeah, it's definitely very hard work.
Wow. That this is very compelling. It's very fascinating. I mean, I'm on an emotional level, I definitely am just glad that you were able to get through it and that you had that support by your side. And it's so nice to hear that it was the contestants because it's one thing that, I've done a lot of interviews at this point where, I basically know hands down that it's an environment where you guys are all supportive. But it's another thing to really hear such a very real story about dealing with anxiety and the mental health struggles that a contestant might be going through, and to know that you guys are really there for each other in that capacity. That's a perspective I've really yet to find on a deeper level on this show. So I appreciate you for bringing that to the podcast. And I have to say that I feel like Hollywood Week must have brought out of a lot of these stories. But I do want to rewind a little bit to your audition because I wanted to talk about what happened when you went in the room and saw the judges, because we kind of stopped when you were with Grace and you were meditating and you saw Cole with his sister. So when you were thrown into the magic of television. There you are, Katie, Luke, and Lionel. What are you feeling when you walk into that room?
Yeah. I was just so excited. I had my mom and I had a lot of support in Nashville with me. I had my mom and my dad. My mom was like my selected guest, so she could come on set with me, which was really awesome. But yeah, just like walking along the walkway, I just like looked out at the city and I took a deep breath and I was like, yeah, okay. And it's like this is what I'm doing. It's forking awesome. Can't believe I'm here right now. And oh my gosh, the doors. So one of like our I don't know, our producers, I don't know what to call them, managers, they told us all about like where we had to stand and like the door opens this way and like you have to look for the lip or else you might trip, so watch out for that. And then you're gonna stand on this circle, blah blah blah. Then you're gonna step away. And so I was like super in my head about like all the dimensions of the room. And so I try and like I think I tried to like push open the door and it was like a pull. It was a
Yeah.
pull situation. And so I was like, "Urgh!" And then I was like, oh God, okay. Pull it open. And then of course, yes, I'm in front of the judges and I mean, oh my God, it was so crazy. I was like, Katy Perry is right in front of me. She like she gives like I don't know. She gives the energy of like some extraterrestrial. Oh my God, she
Which
has a
makes
song
sense.
called yeah,
E.T. There we
E.T.
go.
But she's just like like you don't think she's real. Like she like her music videos, just the persona that she gives to the world is just like some like out of this world basically. And I just remember seeing her and I was like, "Oh my God, she's like a human. She's wearing makeup right now." Like this is so wild. And so yeah, I definitely like oh my God, so jittery. I was very scared. I was very nervous. They could definitely tell. Um and I sang my song and then Katie wanted Luke to go first and Luke I don't know if he had a lot of the contestants are talking about like his mood because he didn't seem to be in like a great mood and we thought that it might be because of like the CMA awards. And he was just like really tired and obviously very long days for them. But Luke didn't really have anything to like say to me in that moment. And I was like, oh God, okay, off to like a great start. Um, and then I think Katie went and I honestly forget a lot. I wish that I remembered more, but I blacked out hardcore, which is so upsetting. But Katie said that I had a very mature voice. She just didn't know. She was like, Luke, do you want to hear more? Like, I think we need to hear a little more. And she was like, we just don't know this song. Like, maybe if you had chosen a more popular song, we could assess you a little more clearer. Um, and then Lionel said that I had a really good vibe, and that I was a storyteller, which was a huge compliment. And then I sang "Make It Rain" for my second song, and then they all sent me through, and it was so crazy. I have the photo of me where I'm like picking up the golden ticket
Yeah.
and like my face is just like the widest smile I've ever seen
Aw.
my face be in, which was so cool. I was like, wow, this is I don't know. It was just a really like beautiful emotion. It was like
I love that for you
snapshotted.
though. Yeah.
Yeah. And then on the way out the door, I got messed up again. I was like, oh God, my nemesis, the door. And I tried to pull it and it was the push or the pull. We don't
Yeah.
remember.
No.
And they're like, oh, like push it. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
I would have done
Yeah.
the same thing, so
Yeah.
yeah.
It's all good.
Any feedback on the second song? Make It Rain?
Um, Honestly, not that I remember. I think that at that point, Lionel, before I had sang the second song, he was like, "Oh, we could definitely tell that you were nervous, but just just relax." And so, yeah, I sang the second song, and I think obviously, I don't know, like once you get one thing under your belt, then you're like kind of good to go.
Yeah.
And so I definitely uh, was proud of my second performance. And honestly, I don't remember what they said. Um, nope.
Yeah. That makes sense, honestly. I mean, and they don't give you the footage either, so it's not like you can go watch it back. Does that like bother you that you don't get to watch the
Oh,
footage back?
you don't know. You don't know how much it bothers me. It's really upsetting. Like, I don't know. It's so crazy to kind of wish that you were aired, even though I definitely wasn't proud of like some of the scenarios that I had given them. And I thought that they could be kind of like twisted and like used in a wrong way. But like I think that just being aired to have those clips would be like so worth it. And I think that yeah, I think that it's really upsetting that contestants, I mean, I understand like why they can't give it out because I don't know, but I feel like they could like find an app where you could only log in and you couldn't like download. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's not my job.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely really upsetting to not have the judges' feedback like perfectly remembered in your mind because you black out all the damn time. Um, so yeah, I think that's one of the biggest bummers that happened.
Mm-hmm. Um, well, I know that, we started to talk about Hollywood Week and I want to get back to it. And what I want to start with is before we get to Genre Challenge, I want to hear what it was like to just get to California because I'm sure it was overwhelming. I want to know how you were feeling on the flight when you got to LAX and what you were feeling.
Yeah. What was I feeling? Um, I mean the flight was crazy. I remember just like coming in. I had never flown into LAX. I'd only driven with like a family for like one of my spring breaks, and that's how we got there. But I remember flying into LAX, and I took a photo of the smog, and I sent it to my parents, and I was like, "Ew," and they were like, "Yeah, dude, that's so ew." Um, and yeah, so that was like one of my first impression. I was like, "Oh God, like whoa." Definitely nothing that we have in Montana besides when it gets like really smoky, but different kind of smog. And yeah, I got in and I was, it was kind of the same as my Nashville audition. Like I was a little bit jittery. I was like, I don't know who's gonna be here. Like hopefully it's one of my Nashville friends that is gonna be with me and like get caravanned. But I ended up meeting just a bunch of different people, and I just remember like everybody sizing each other up. Um, and I mean, there were so many positive people there too, but just some people would just like look you up and down, and you're like, oh God, like don't look at me. Um, and I remember on the bus, there was just like people like riffing and I was like, "Oh my God, I can't do that." But I remember on the bus I did find one of my friends and we just sat and chatted and shared snacks and we got there and I was like, "Yes, I missed you." Yeah, it was
uh,
awesome.
Now, I think that Hollywood Week, if I'm correct, has its own sort of day zero, and there's at least a day or maybe 2 days before you start Genre Challenge filming. So, are you like, is it overwhelming just like waiting to get to the point where you can actually start the competition again, or do you like having time to kind of decompress and get situated?
Yeah, no, I think it is really nice to kind of get situated. I mean, it's never for me, at least it was never like complete like bliss or like complete like calmness. There was always just like uh like Amy would announce to the group, like, hey, so some of you are going to be filming today. Just a heads up, if that's you, someone's going to come down and get you. And then everybody's like looking around to see like who's going. Am I going to go? Does this mean something? Which, yes, it does. For anybody out there, yes. Anyone who wants to be an American Idol, it does count. But yeah, it's definitely nice to kind of just like be back and reacquainted with the people from your city that you got to know while sitting for hours in holding. Um, yeah, so I think it was pretty welcome.
Any memories? I mean, again, I'm very curious about who you met and who some of your close friends were. From who you when you got to LAX or when you got to the hotel, any people that you met in particular that you made great friendships with?
Yeah, Danny was one of my closest friends. We met one of the first days in Nashville, and I would say that he, kind of like me, hadn't done a bunch of performing and was kind of new to the whole scene. And he's literally one of the best people I've met. So we stayed close up until he left after genre round, and it was so tough after genre round. Grace left. I mean, so many people left that um, I had gotten to know, and I remember like waking up the next day and going down to the holding area in our hotel and just like looking around and being like, wait, like who's left?
Oh,
And that was like, yeah, that was a constant kind of battle, just like walking in that room and not recognizing any faces. And I mean, being an introvert, I'm pretty introverted. It was definitely hard to like lose your kind of day ones with the whole like who knew you from Nashville and from the get-go, to kind of, having to make new friends, which was great. Like I'm so glad that I forced myself to do that and that people were outgoing enough to like talk to me. But yeah, it was definitely hard, like losing some of your rocks. But Prego Sam, now with a baby Sam, was
yes.
one of my other favorites. It was kind of like mother daughter scenario.
She was
She called
practicing.
me, yeah, she called me her like she was like, "You're my first son," and I was like, obviously not. But yeah, she was just such a strong person who was always there for me, which was so awesome. And I remember we kind of lost touch in the Hollywood scene, and then like somehow I found my way back to her, and I was like, I miss you, and she's like, I missed you too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's crazy. I mean, there's so many of you guys, genre round 50-50 cut, if I'm correct, if not more. And so just to survive that is probably overwhelming. Like what's it like? I mean, because you're there for yourself, but you're also there and it's not maybe as much of a competition feeling, So when all your friends, or seemingly it feels like all your friends are getting cut, but then you're still there, is there a way to describe that emotion? I mean,
I don't know. Oh my God, it was so hard. It was so hard. Um, I mean, like, uh, Grace was also in Pitch Slapped, and both of those members left genre round. Um, and it was really weird because I was like, I am not better than these people. Like I'm really not. Um, and so yeah, it was just so complicated. I mean, ego is always like a play in in the situation that you were in, and it was kind of just like if you decided to sing in the holding room, like everybody's eyes are going to be on you and you're going to be sharing your talent. And it's just definitely hard to be very vulnerable with music in that way, and I have a long ways to go to be really free with my music and free with my expression through music. Um, so yeah, it was definitely like a battle. I was like, wait, am I better than these people? And I was like, no, I'm not. Like I keep having to remind myself, I'm like, I'm really not better than these people. Like everybody's so different in their musical style and their musical choices. And I think that I mean, American Idol is such a great idea, but when it comes down to it, I mean, Katy Perry, Lionel Richie, and Luke Bryan are three people. They're just three people who are just like us. And yeah, they have so much knowledge and they have so much experience under their belts. But who's to say like what what's better, you know? Um, and it really just came down to like I don't know whether or not you played and like song choice was everything.
Yeah.
So like if you chose to sing, Grace sang an a cappella version of something for a genre round, and I think that that's what kind of cost her the loss. And so yeah, it really just came down to like that those couple of like a minute 20 of whatever song you were performing. Yeah, it was definitely hard to watch people go and to kind of struggle because I felt like I was in the same boat as all of my Nashville friends, and then when they started to leave, I was like, but I'm like
Yeah.
like I'm just as good as them. Like why am I not gone? So yeah, it was definitely hard.
I mean, it's almost like what a great tragedy that like all of these extremely talented people who I've just been shocked meeting all of you guys like you all stayed true to yourselves and that's what matters at the end of the day. So for example, Grace, the fact that she out of 150 plus contestants had the guts to say I'm going to sing an a cappella and that's the note she went out on and I'm guessing it was pretty dang amazing and
Yeah.
she didn't go through for whatever reason, but that's legendary to be able to say that you took that risk, right? And I think that that's how these artists want to be remembered.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that that's like, I mean, I'm sure that all the contestants who weren't aired just go back in their minds like I do and just think about what I could have changed or like, dang, I should have sang that in my chest voice. I should have belted more. I should have done more runs. But yeah, like some of it is just a matter of getting through the experience. Like if you're having a really tough time, like during duet round, I stayed up until everybody stayed up until like 2 a.m. In my case, some people got to go to bed earlier because they were functioning fine.
Yeah.
But it was really hard. And sometimes you just had to call it. I
Mhm.
remember me and my duet partner, I just was like, yo, you know what? Like, I'm fine with like this as it is now. I just want sleep. I just want to
Yeah.
like calm myself down. Uh, so yeah, a lot of it is just like, um, doing what you think that you need to do. And yeah, just like you said, like just go at your own way. Like walk at walk
March
the
to the beat of
drum
your
the
own
drum
drum.
line.
Yeah, the drum
Yeah.
line.
The
Yes.
drum line.
Oh,
Yeah, and I think that that's like all that you can do in American Idol, and if you push yourself to do anything other than that, I think that that's honestly just not going to help you.
hmm.
Like yeah, it might help you to be aired if you do something really crazy, but if you are comfortable with what you are presenting and you feel really confident in it, then I think that that's like all that you should ask for.
It probably is challenging to be in an environment with so many other talented people, and you're like, well, I'm good, but look at what they can do. Not to mention, I mean, let's just be real here. Like, not getting aired must have made it difficult to start thinking about, okay, well, the show didn't put me on the air. So, did this have to do with my talent? Did it have to do with just not enough time? And I feel like it's not wrong for me to say that because it's probably things that you thought about as soon as you figured out that you weren't going to be on the show.
Right. Yeah, of course. I think that there was just such a long waiting period that like my brain, that's like all I was thinking about. Like I would just like refresh my email and always come back to my email, just like waiting for that, supposed email that was supposed to come in, and I was gonna be like, yes.
Yeah.
And so it definitely like took until the end of Showstopper that I was just like trying to maximize my own career with like posting a lot and just like posting as it went. And it was really hard to it was hard to just make those posts because I just like kept losing hope, but I was still like putting it out there for the world to see that I still had hope, but like so I still had hope, and it was just like perpetuating itself. And I mean it's like fine to have hope, but I think that I wish I just wish that I had known. Like I guess that they go episode by episode, whatever. It's like pretty flexible and they don't really know who's gonna be in it. I'm not sure. I don't know how it works actually, so I'm not gonna like cut them any slack. Um, but yeah, it was just so hard to like hold on to that hope for weeks and kind of have that be my all-consuming thing at the time when I wanted to like I honestly just like needed to move past it in order to prosper as like my own artist. So yeah, it was definitely hard to just like sit on it and try and just like do my normal life.
Right. Who's your duet partner?
My duet partner was Elise Costco.
Cool. And I want to hear, obviously, we didn't get to meet her either. So I want to hear about that partnership and what that was like, the vibe. And I don't know if you guys knew each other before, if this was meeting for the first time.
Yeah, no, we met for the first time. We had such a good vibe, and she was so, so sweet and so energetic, so outgoing. Yeah, we laughed so hard together. Our duet name was Sweet Chili because we were eating like these pop chips that were
Uh-huh.
sweet chili flavored
Oh, wow.
before we went in to hash it all out with our accompanists. Um, but yeah, the dynamic was really good. I would say we were pretty anxious and we were like nitpicking. We weren't really like freely going about making our performance. It was definitely, I wish that we had just been a little more calm and a little less anxious so that we could have been more free with our, I don't know, with like the way that we made our duet song. Um, but we like nitpicked every little single part of it, and we were like, okay, voice memo that, and we're like, ah. And so yeah, and I think that's partially why we were up until 2 a.m. is because we were just like, oh my God, I gotta get this perfect. And of course, in the end, it wasn't like that perfect. I think that we were definitely perfectionists, and we
Mm-hmm.
kind of, made that more potent in each other. And yeah,
What's your song choice?
we sang the Billie Eilish and Khalid duet. Um,
Lovely.
yeah, all alone. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
was
There
gonna
we
say,
go.
"Isn't it lovely?" But that's a
Yeah.
Bill Withers song,
Yeah, or Isn't She
right?
Lovely?
Isn't she lovely? Oh yeah, that's that was
Another
Stevie.
another old song. Um, and you guys are like with vocal coaches and stuff, right? So you're working with professionals and getting industry
Yes.
experience.
Yeah, yeah. It was kind of bad, honestly. We didn't like, I don't know. I guess we didn't like catch the memo. We should have thought about it beforehand because it was how it was going the entire time. But um, we didn't realize that we had to like chop the song. And so we went in there and we're like, okay, we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do this, and they're like, what? Like, no, you have to. And obviously, it was so late, and so they were just a little bit pissed off, and we were like, oh God. And so I kind of had to take the reins, and I was like, okay, we're chopping it here. We're gonna do that. And then they're like, okay, and we're like, okay, bye. um, so we definitely could have been more prepared in that. area. Um, but it went well. Katy Perry, oh my God, Katy Perry is so slick with her words. She's so silly. She's like, when she was judging us, she was like, I somehow she twisted it to make it seem like we sounded really good. And I was like, oh my God, like thanks. And I was like, oh, uh-huh, because I thought that I was gonna get like we were gonna get good feedback. But then she like twisted it back and she was like, honestly, you didn't really impress me. And I was like, and that's yeah, I think so that's how we split up, which was really sad.
Hmm.
That was not a good time. And oh my God, the splitting up during the duet rounds was oh my God, it was so heartbreaking. It was so heartbreaking because like Jade, oh my God, Jade Flores and Mike Parker were a duet, and they stood on that stage waiting to see who was going forward or if they both were going forward or someone was going to be left behind for probably like oh my God, it felt like a century, probably like 5 minutes while while the judges were like deciding, they like turned away from you and like decided and and then Megan like walked up and had to talk with them for a couple minutes and then they finally sent Mike through and Jade home and everybody in the audience was like so stressed out. We were like, "Oh God." And I think a couple of us were like, "Send them both through."
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so there is some painful times, and yeah, letting go of Elise was so hard. Oh my God,
Hmm.
that was so terrible. Um, yeah, I think that during the whole, I don't think that I really needed. Obviously, I'm so grateful for American Idol, and I'm so grateful that I had the time that I did and went as far as I did, and I got so much out of it that I wouldn't have if I had gotten out during duet rounds. Um, But I told Elise like at 2 a.m. I was like, yo, I just need to go to bed. Like, honestly, like this is such a great ride and and I'm, I'm gonna make it as far as I make it and I don't really need to go any further. And she and then, like her facial expression was like, what the hell? And so I felt really bad when she got out and I was like, wow, like she she wanted this really bad. And there's some people there that are just I mean, not necessarily. I think that I was kind of, one of the only people with that perspective, but I think that I was just going through such a mentally traumatizing time that I really did feel that way. But in retrospect, like I'm so glad that I got to top 56 and had all of the feedback that I did get.
Going on to Showstoppers at this point, I mean, were you convinced that you were going to make top 24? Because you were literally one round away from America's vote. It could have
I
happened,
was
Zia. It could have.
it could have. I got really sick. That's when I got really, really, really sick. Yeah, oh God, it was not fun. I was doing like nasal rinses in the hotel
Oh
bathroom,
my
like
God.
snotting it up. I went down to like CVS and I had like a whole shopping bag full of just like anything and everything that I could find on the internet that would like make me healthy again in a day, in 2 days, whatever it was. And I know like in the past that people have actually like taken steroids to get through um, showstopper round. And it's definitely the point in the week where everybody is just so fatigued. Um, and I went up there and that was the moment where like that one film team told me to stop hyping myself up and I was like, okay. A little bit of me, I think like subconsciously just kind of wanted it to be over. Um, which is pretty sad to say. I wish that I hadn't been in the place that I was during Hollywood Week. But just as the week went on, I got just way more anxious and just in my head. And so I sang, and I was pretty sick. And I remember my vocal coach, who I worked with, who was John Batiste vocal coach. Can't believe it. Can't
Wow.
believe it. So crazy. He was like, you need to like shut up. You need to you need to go on the vocal rest where you actually shut up and download an app uh
To talk
where like
text to speech.
yeah. And I was like, wow, okay, this is pretty serious. And so I got out there and my voice just wasn't where it should have been. And I think subconsciously, like I think that a lot of things got to me also just like self-doubt and not being liberated backstage to like kind of just like de-stress and declutter my brain. And so I think that I kind of sang with with everything just like piled on, and I just wasn't there with it anymore. And I pretty much knew that I was going home after that. I was like, yeah, it wasn't great. I remember looking at the judges' faces and I was like, oh,
They weren't into it.
we're going home.
Yeah. Well, what did the
Yeah.
crowd think? I mean, could you tell?
The thing is that the crowd was on their feet for like 3 hours. They were watching all of us perform for so long. I don't know how long it was, but I mean, it was 56 performances that were, um, I don't know how long they were. Maybe it wasn't that long. No, it was pretty long. They were in there for a hot minute, and they definitely were looking like a little bit like, okay, like I'm ready to
Yeah.
like walk or like do something else. And so I remember like honing in on that feeling. I looked at a couple faces and I was like, oh God. And it's definitely not like, I don't know, it definitely wasn't like the normal crowd.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel that, I don't know. I don't know if they get, I'm not sure. I don't think they get paid. Um, but there's just like an open call for anybody who wants to come there. And it's also like, I think that it was definitely me. Like, I really didn't know how to, maneuver a crowd. Uh, I think I don't know how many people there were, but there was quite a few. And I just remember feeling overwhelmed that I had to like take control of the crowd as well as like my emotions and my anxiety and like all the things that were happening. And so I think that the crowd definitely threw me off being a pretty new performer. So that definitely could have been part of it.
What song did you sing?
I sing Stand Up by Cynthia Erivo.
Oh, I love that song.
So good. It's such a good song.
They were already standing up, so they kind of had to because right now
Yeah,
it
no.
was a standing room only.
Exactly.
I feel like I just realized I forgot. I don't remember if I ever asked you what you sang in Genre Challenge.
Just the Two of Us by Bill Withers.
Oh, and also, did you do this stuff with the alumni mentors where you got to meet one of the past contestants?
Yes. Oh my God. We met Ruben Studdard. Um, and nobody really knew him. It was kind of upsetting, honestly.
Well, you didn't
Like,
watch the show, so you probably were like,
yeah, no, I was like, oh yeah. And we had to like take the opening take, I think, like 3 times because the first take that he came out, I think only like a handful of people in the R&B crowd, which was also really small, um, was like, oh my God, it's Ruben Studdard, and everyone else was like, what? We were like,
It
yeah,
was almost 20 years ago, so yeah.
yeah. So we had to do that a couple of times over, and I didn't get to talk to him at all. Like I was never on screen with him, which is another red flag, by the way. Just less screen time. But yeah, no, he seemed really, really sweet, and had a lot of good advice for those who did talk to him. Um, But yeah, he didn't do any impromptu performances, unfortunately.
Unlike Jordan Sparks, who I
Unlike
hear
Jordan
sounded
Sparks,
really
yeah.
great live and
Yeah.
in person. Well, so I guess the only thing left for you to film was the Green Mile, where you found out that you were not going to make it through the top 24. At that point, if you said you were kind of subconsciously wanting it to end. So, and there was also the gap between filming Showstopper and Green Mile. So, like, what were you feeling in those days in between?
It was honestly pretty like good to like be done. I felt
Yeah.
like I was like, yeah, okay, I did it. Like impressed with what I accomplished, even if it wasn't like my best. Um, so yeah, I was just like kind of relieved that it was finally over and I actually like kind of was able to calm my mind. And I think this is when most of the contestants were like, okay, yeah, like let's party. And we were in the hotel lobby and we were singing and chatting. And yeah, it was just really really awesome when we would go into a hotel like somebody's room and just like harmonize or like harmonize by the ice making machine. Um, so yeah, I think that a lot of people were just like really relieved that we had like made it through. Like even if you hadn't made it through, I know that so many people were torn up about that, and I definitely um my coping strategy was definitely like joy, but part of it was also that I was just like, okay, like I'm okay. Like I don't think I need top 24. Like if I got aired, that'd be awesome. Like that's what I was banking on. Obviously didn't happen. But I was like, yeah, I think like this is if I want, I can come back. Like I'm only 20. I think I think like 26 or 28 is the cutoff. And I was like, yeah, if I need this in like a couple years, like I know what's happening now. Like I could handle it way better than I could right now. But it was a mixture of like coping and trying to like not feel really bad with myself. And I honestly really didn't. I think that I went in there and I got a lot of great feedback and I was like, yeah, okay, I'm content. Like I did it. Um and yeah, I don't know. I was really relieved. I was like, yeah, I get to go home. I was so excited. Um and it was really nice to be outside. Oh my God, that was so nice. It was really cold. We were all like bundled. I don't know if you've seen the
Yeah.
photos, but like everybody was I took a fat nap like the first day that we were there. I was like probably drooling on my pillow. Everybody was watching me. And I was like in like nestled in this like tree well kind of. It was really silly. And everybody when I woke up, everyone was like, "How's your nap?" And I was
Oh
like,
my
"It was
God.
actually so great. Like, would highly recommend." But everybody would just like lay on the ground. It was pretty like kind of gross and wet and cold in the mornings, but then when the sun got going, it was like bliss.
Mm.
It was so good to have some outside time. Um, but yeah, I don't know, it was a whirlwind, and I was so thankful for it. But I know that like during the time, I was like, okay, I'm like ready to go.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
did the judges say to you like before you went out? Like what were their, do you remember what they said about why they weren't putting you through?
Yeah, I honestly wish I had my journal. I low-key lost it somewhere, but I had it all written down. But Luke Bryan said that I had like a really mature voice, like well beyond my years. Um, what else? Katy Perry compared me to Ani DeFranco, which was really, really cool. And I was like, what? That's crazy. Um, what else did they say? Oh, they said that, I mean, this was kind of a sentiment that Lionel Richie said to all of us, I think, before the duet round, or no, 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 genre round. He kind of just like turned around and stood up and he was like, hey guys, like, just to let you know, whatever happens during this week, your guys' careers have already started. Like, you are phenomenal musicians and you have the potential to go far. Which was really beautiful. And Lionel Richie, oh my God, such a papa. Love him.
Mm.
Um, So, and I think he reminded me of that sentiment when they were judging me. Um, what did Yeah, Lionel Richie told me like I was a storyteller. I'm not sure whether that was like Nashville audition or when I got judged in the
I
end.
remember you saying that about your Nashville audition. Maybe he said it
Yeah,
again, but
yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that was one or the other. What else? Oh, I think that they're just like, yeah, like once you get some more experience under your belt, like you're gonna be ready to go. Like I could see you selling out shows and stuff, which was super awesome to hear. And I remember in that room, like I know a lot of people were like fretting that. I'm pretty sure I'd already come to terms with like being out. Obviously, I was holding on to a little bit of hope, but I was like, yeah, I don't think that was like worthy enough to get through. And so it was nice to kind of just like relax in there and just like really take what they had to heart without like impeding my expectations of me going forward because I really didn't have many expectations. And so I was pretty like clear headed and clear minded, which was great. And I didn't have to face off anybody, which is, I don't
my
know what I would
God.
have done. And I remember I got off of my chair and I was like, thank you. I like held out my hand. I was like, thank you guys so much. And then she was like, ah, nah, girl, like bring it in. I was like, okay. And so I hugged all of them and it was
Uh,
awesome.
the thing that actually is kind of weird is I feel like people watching at home probably listen to Lionel when he's saying things like, "Oh, you guys, you're all gonna have big careers," and they probably think, "Ah, that's BS." They just say that to be nice. But the crazy thing is it's actually, in my opinion, really true because you don't need American Idol to succeed. Like a lot of artists who audition for that show and get cut, who don't get aired, who maybe make it farther but just don't win, like still go on to have really big careers. You don't need American Idol to have a career. So as much as people watching at home are like, oh, he's just saying that because he's nice or he's famous, he wants to look good, it's actually truthful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that I think that's what got me through American Idol and what kind of gave me that sentiment of like, I don't really need this was just like the faith and my manifestation capabilities that just like told me like somewhere in my brain I had made it known that like I can do this. If I really want this, I can do this on my own without American Idol. I was just like so glad for the experience and I knew that it was gonna take me far and I knew what to expect from reality TV
Yeah.
from this point on if I ever chose to like go on a different show or the same show. But yeah, it was really awesome to just kind of be level headed in that sense.
You had said pretty early on that you were kind of okay with not getting through. You said, I subconsciously I might not even want to get through. And I know that you said that it was kind of just rough in general, it was a rough time. What would you have done if you made top 24?
Oh, obviously, like, I think when presented the opportunity, just like roll with it and take it as far as you can. And I think that in some ways, like, my sentiment was kind of a hindrance as well. Um, but I don't know. I talked to a couple of contestants that went on, like Lady K. I was like, hey, like, how is it there? Is it really stressful? And she was like, it's actually not that bad. So it was definitely, I don't know. I think that Hollywood Week is like such a crazy week, and everybody knows that Hollywood Week is like the killer of all of American Idol. But I still don't know. Like, I still don't have full faith that I wouldn't be just as anxious. Um, because clearly that seems to be a trend in my life. Um, in like going on to top 24 or top 10, I think that I still would have just been so stressed out. So I'm grateful that I had the time that I did. But it's good for me, I think, to like put that stress in different areas and not all
Yeah.
one super high risk thing like American Idol.
And you're on to other things. I mean, I'm sure the future's looking bright. I'm sure you have so many things you're working on. I know that you've got a single out right now that's brand new. I mean, there's so much in store for you, I'm sure. So I want to hear about what you've been up to since American Idol.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm dropping out of school. Hey,
Hey,
I'm
been
gonna move.
there.
Yeah, I'm gonna move to Nashville, which I'm really excited about. I have a lot of pals down there. I think Danny is wanting to move down there. Elise, I think, is moving down there. Um, so yeah, I'm really excited for what's ahead. Obviously, there's some growing pains. I mean, I met a lot of people, really awesome people at my college. One of my producers. Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna miss a lot of people at that college, and I mean, I've never been anywhere, like I've never lived anywhere south, like
Hmm.
no southern states have I ever inhabited. So that'll be definitely a first, and it's definitely gonna be really strange. But right now, I am renting a little place in Portland, Oregon, with some of my best friends from Montana from when I was super young, which is super awesome. And I'm taking a class through like the studio. It's like monthly. I don't know. It's a like an online class that kind of shows you the ins and outs of production. And Charlie Puth, like a crew filmed Charlie Puth, just like showing you
Wow.
how to make things, which is super fun.
Wow.
Yeah, it's so hard. It's so difficult.
Oh my gosh.
But I'm excited to do that. And I'm just trying to get more creative in general, just like sitting down and making art, like making new songs, because that's never been like a thing that I've done. I've always been like, oh, like a song just has to come to me magically in the night, and I wake up and I like play the whole thing by heart. Um, but it's definitely more of a like sit down, like play some shitty chords and get some lyrics and fix it up. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
definitely a
just see what
lot of
happens.
trial and
Yeah.
error.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Cool.
Yeah.
Now tell me about this new single out called He Dared, because I know it's also a collaboration. It just came out, and I think it sounds amazing, and I want you to
Thank
talk about
you.
it.
Thank you. Yeah, so He Dared. I've written a couple of other songs which I have um had some of my friends like produce before. Um, but they always keep getting better, which is like the thing is about songwriting. You're like, wait, this one's better than my last one, and like
Yeah,
I hope to keep it that
that's
way.
good.
But it's I've definitely been like super nitpicky about all my songs. But He Dared, I was just like, okay, I just have to do this. Like, this is my most recent song. I'm just gonna put it out there. I really like it. I hope other people like it. And so yeah, inspired about a boy who broke my heart.
Mm,
That's yeah, I know. Those are most of my songs so far. I have yet to like make a happy song, but we'll cross that bridge when I come to it. Uh so yeah, it was just kind of a like, oh, is he gonna pick me or her type of deal? And then he picked her, and now I'm really sad. So let's write a song. So yeah, I wrote that like last like August or July, September, somewhere around there. And I kind of kept refining it as I went into college at the University of Puget Sound. And then I met a producer out of Oakland. His name is Oliver. His stage name is Ollie's Plan. He's really incredible if you want to check him out. And he helped me. I recorded the vocals and the piano, and he helped me like put it all together, and he made that beat with a little help from me. And yeah, he put it all together. And my aunt, who is, I think she was BBC's, um, album of the month in May.
Wow.
Um, yeah, she's super crazy. So she played cello on that track. It was definitely like a long time coming and a lot of hard work, but I'm really proud of it and I'm just excited to put more music out, which is the best thing is that like I'm ready to start rolling.
I'm so excited to listen. I'm so excited to follow you on your journey because now that I've gotten to know you, it's like getting to know the artist is such a treat because it's one thing to hear somebody's music, but to hear them speak is like you kind of get a window into their story. And Lionel Richie said you're a storyteller. I think you're a storyteller. I don't know if I can't even begin to compare myself to Lionel Richie, but I also think you're a storyteller. So, well, in just a minute, we're going to close out with the song, which is great because people can actually hear it. But I just want to let you guys know that if you like this conversation, if you like this podcast in general, make sure that you follow us on Instagram or TikTok at Idle Unaired Podcast. We've got clips from the show. We've got info on upcoming guests. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever, make sure that you're following, rating, leaving a review. Give it those 5 stars. You can watch these interviews on YouTube. Just type in American Idol Unaired. And Zia, I want to give you the chance to plug your socials or anywhere that people can follow you online, listen to your music so that they can stay tuned to what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, American Idol Unaired. 5 stars from me.
Ah, thank you.
Yeah, you can find Zia Blue on Instagram. It's Zia Blue with an underscore. I'm also on TikTok. It's Zilla Tortilla or Zia Tortilla,
Sick
however you want to
username.
say it. Yeah, with an underscore in between those two words. I'm on Spotify. Just look up Zia Blue. And yeah, that's really all. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. Any last thing, any final notes that you want to leave us on? I'm putting you on the spot. I don't know.
No, I'm all good. Thank you.
Oh, well, Zia, it was so great talking to you. Thank you so much for being a part of American Idol Unaired.
Thank you so much.
How dare you make me suffer? You weren't the one I thought I was after.